Welcome to Rick's Corner. We're back with Doug Brignole. I called him and he came over today. He had a courtesy time to give me and talk on the show, and I had a couple of things I wanted to talk about. And I know you guys love Doug because he's a vast world of knowledge. It's like a big reservoir, and once we had this rain here, the reservoir filled up and he's going to spill out all his knowledge on us. How'd you make it through the rains, okay?
Yeah, not bad. You know, I saw some areas were flooding, and yet my area didn't flood very much at all.
Well, listen, all you people that don't live in California, I know you saw the news, and we were underwater, and we've had a drought for I don't know how many years, and the news gets on there and says, don't let the rain fool you, the drought is worse than ever. No, it's not, trust me.
Yeah, right,
we've had feet and feet and feet of rain. And Friday, when we had the big eye of the storm coming from Santa Barbara, my girlfriend and I drove through that storm to Santa Barbara, which normally takes an hour, 40 minutes, took us 5.5 hours.
Right.
101 was flooded, this was closed, that was closed, but we had fun with it. You know, we just
that's the right attitude.
I got off a wrong road. I ended up on the railroad track, almost going on the track. And she said, how do we end up here? I said, I have no idea, but I got to pee so bad I can't stand it. I'm looking for a McDonald's. I'm looking for anything to get off the off-ramp. I said, screw it. I got off the off-ramp. I pulled over on the ramp.
Found a tree.
No, I peed right in the middle of the fucking road, and people are driving past me, and I said, I don't care. I can't hold it.
Yeah. When you got to go, you got to go.
I can't hold this another minute. You know, from my leg, they had me on diuretics, and you got to go like all the time.
Right.
So anyway, it made the trip fun. We saw Billy Crystal live Saturday night for 3 hours. I never laughed so hard in my life.
He's a great comedian.
Oh, we had a great time.
Very intelligent.
Everybody needs time off from the gym. I took a couple of days off. I didn't care. I got a pedicure, got a massage, ate like a king.
Did you choose a color for your toes?
I did a nice royal blue.
Royal blue.
You know, and let me tell you something. Why you guys, here's why I do it. I know that you can get a toenail fungus out of nowhere.
Right.
And they happen, and I got it, and it makes your toenails turn black. And the woman says, you know, soak it in vinegar and Listerine. It'll cure it up. Right. I said, fine, but I don't like to look at it, so let's color it over. I don't want to look at these toes.
Yeah.
I did it before I went to the hospital for my knee surgery, so at least the nurses would have something to make fun of.
Yeah, right. As if they couldn't find something else.
Oh, they found everything wrong with it. All right, so here's the situation. I have asked Doug to come over here and talk about a couple of things. And I want to talk about delt training because back in the day when I was training delts hard, I had really nice round delts. And a lot of the bodybuilders, they always have real nice round delts. Now, a lot of people training, they don't get that. And there's got to be a reason why they're not getting it. Something's not working. And today, or yesterday, I did chest and shoulders. Well, I always believed in doing presses. You know, I mean, I did standing barbell, and I also did dumbbell twisting for years, but my shoulders are shot, and I can't do those anymore. And so Ken Waller told me, and Rich Piana both told me, don't worry about pressing, just do laterals, front, sides, back, and your delts will pop out. Well, they're not popping out like they used to.
Right.
And so mentally, I think I need pressing.
No.
And I want your opinion on this.
Yes, okay, well, first of all, let me just say that when we're young, and we're full of good hormones, naturally or otherwise, you can do a lot of things wrong and get a good result.
True.
So we cannot look at the results that a young person gets in terms of their deltoid development and say, oh, well, if they're doing those exercises, those are the right ones to do.
Okay.
Because that may or may not be true.
Right.
Okay, so let's first talk about why presses aren't so good from a productivity standpoint. Then we'll talk about why they're not so good from an injury standpoint.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
There's a simple rule in biomechanics that is called opposite position loading. And that means that whatever muscle is directly opposite resistance will be the most loaded.
Okay.
Okay? The way I explain it in my book is if you were pulling straight down on a rope that was attached to the branch, you're pulling in the 6 o'clock direction, and that load is actually put on 12 o'clock.
Right, okay.
If you want a 2 o'clock load, you got to pull from an 8 o'clock angle.
Oh, that makes total sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's what happens is if you want to work your side deltoid, then, and you're going to do an overhead press, when you rotate your arm around like this, you're actually rotating your side deltoid away from the opposing gravity.
Right.
Right? So it is not in a position to oppose. The front deltoid pops up. And it's more in the, so you're not going to get round shoulders from doing, because the round shoulders comes from doing side deltoid work.
I knew this, and I wanted you to explain. I knew this is for a fact, and I also knew that when I work chest, I'm doing pressing anyway, incline and straight pressing. So I'm getting deltoids in there anyway.
Right.
And so, then, like you say, to rotate back and do press overhead, you're working front delt.
Well, you're doing front deltoid, and there's some other problems too. Now, we all have a different degree of mobility in our shoulders. Right. So theoretically, what you want to do is be able to rotate. If you're going to do a press, you want to rotate your arm enough so that your forearm is vertical. Then it's a neutral lever, meaning the muscles that are operating the forearm aren't having to work. Only the deltoid, which is operating this bone right here, is having to work, right?
Okay.
But most people don't have enough mobility to rotate that far.
Oh, no, I can't.
So what they do is they end up with a slight forward slant to this form, which means that this lever is no longer neutral. It wants to fall forward, and you have to reverse arm wrestle it to keep it from happening, and that's external rotator cuff.
Okay.
So you're straining the external rotator cuff with a weight that's far greater than it can actually handle, just to do an exercise to work the side deltoid, which doesn't require infraspinatus, which is the rear delta, the external rotator.
Yeah, because I get like spasms back there.
So it puts you almost in a submission hold position to rotate your arm that far back just to get a compromised result on the side deltoid.
The only advantage to this whole thing is my shoulder, because it's almost frozen, is when I go to eat and the check comes, I can't get it.
Oh, how convenient. How convenient that somebody else has to pay.
But I can't. I literally can't reach for it. I can't reach.
Yeah. Oh, let me get it.
Can you have me my drink, please? Yes, it's very painful.
All right, so here's the thing is, Rich Piana and these people that have told you that side laterals is the right movement.
Yes.
They don't know they've said that. They've said the right exercise.
Yeah.
They're right and they're wrong. It is the right movement. That is what the lateral deltoid does. It actually only moves the arm to the side.
Okay.
Right? And when you're doing an overhead press, by the way, you're not even starting at the bottom. The bottom starts here. Mm-hmm. You're not doing an overhead press from here.
No.
You're starting from here, right? So you're already missing this much range of motion.
I didn't even want to get into this, but I said the Smith machine when I do it now. And I will do it from here. I'll do my pressing from here.
Yeah, but see what's happening when you're doing this, look at your forearm. Your forearm is not vertical.
No, it's not.
Right? So you're having some downward press on there. You're having some external, some rotator cuff strain just because of that.
Yes, I understand that.
All right, so the whole trick to this thing is choosing the direction of the resistance.
Okay.
Right? When you choose an exercise, you don't even know it, but you have inadvertently chosen a direction of resistance. Okay, so when you're doing a standing side raise with a dumbbell, you've selected a downward resistance, right? Well, relative to your position, right, like this, that puts your deltoid in a neutral position when you're starting. Right? Opposite position loading tells us your trapezius is loaded. It's pulling you down here.
Yes, it is.
So it's going to load your trapezius the entire time because it's it's at the 12 o'clock position of a 6 o'clock pull.
So how do you get to the delta in the 12?
So you have to have the resistance coming from that direction, not from this direction. When you come up like this, the resistance increases as your deltoid muscle gets weaker.
Okay.
Why? Because all muscles are stronger at the beginning and weaker at the end of a range of motion.
Right. So what's working there? My trap?
So your trap is working the most.
Right.
And the lateral deltoid is working, but not within its proper strength curve.
So how do you get the direction on the lateral deltoid?
So which the best exercise that is convenient to do, by the way, is a standing side cable raise.
Okay.
Where the cable is over there, right at the same height as your wrist.
Okay.
When you start. That means the cable and your arm are perpendicular to each other.
Okay.
When you start, boom, now you've got maximum resistance right at the beginning, and as you come up, that resistance diminishes.
Okay.
Exactly as your muscle is losing strength.
So you're doing actually a crossover from the bottom.
Well, it's very close to your side. You're not in front of you. It's very close to your side, right here, just right across your front.
Okay.
Right across your front. Now,
but it's coming from there.
It's coming from
and you're saying sideways too.
Right. Now, you can do the same thing by lying on the ground and using a dumbbell.
Yeah.
Again, your forearm, your arm, and your gravity.
It's uncomfortable.
But it's uncomfortable, right? First of all, you're lying on one arm. You got to put something under your head.
People step on you. They walk over you. They trip on you.
Well, but the point is that you have to have a perpendicular resistance at the beginning of the motion.
Gotcha.
And that makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah. You know, like you were saying, I've seen guys back in the day doing everything wrong and they gain. I mean, big guys. They're doing every exercise. Yeah. Just, I can't even name who it was, but I remember seeing somebody. He was a national champion. Yeah. He didn't do anything right. He threw the weights around, but he just grew.
We see guys with magnificent physiques. If those of us who know proper mechanics can look at them and say, wow, they're making so many mistakes and they look fantastic.
Yeah.
They've got good genetics, and there may be supplementing.
Aaron Baker's a friend of mine, so I can say this. He was always in shape. I went to the firehouse to eat, and I'm eating clean. What's he having? Cheeseburger, fries, and a Coke.
Right.
You eat like this? I eat like this all the time.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Yeah. There are guys that are just muscular and lean. Dan Duchesne used to talk about those people. Remember Dan Duchesne used to talk about the genetic elite and how the people who take steroids are actually trying to become like the people who are like that naturally.
Right.
They're trying to get that same genetic advantage.
Right.
But that's the whole point. Is so much of our progress is determined by our hormonal makeup.
Well, let me put it this way. Back when I was training at Gold's back in the days, we did the standing presses with Arnold where you held them here and you twisted as you come up.
Right.
Well, it's very difficult now. From shoulder, I have a lot of arthritis, and it's very difficult. But you go up the line and down the line and up the line and down the line of standing laterals, and my delts were just nice round delts.
Yeah, right. Well, but here's the thing: is you might think, boy, I've got great round delts. Now you might have had them from doing only Arnold presses.
Yeah.
But the chances are you were also doing side raises.
Yes, I was.
And that's what people do, and so they don't know which exercise
You're
gave
not
them
quite
more
sure.
or
All I know is I got a tremendous pump. I had no injuries at the time,
Right.
and I was wrestling, so everything felt good.
Right.
You know, you're walking away so pumped you can't even move.
Cannot do that anymore. I mean, what I've learned as I've gotten older, I'm 57 now.
Yeah.
Excuse me, 57. Yeah, that's right. I almost forget, but the point is that when you're young, you can get away with doing a lot of things without injury and with results. As you get older, those same exact exercises will injure you and will keep you from getting the results you want. You have to learn a smarter way. And by the way, had we been doing that smarter way from the beginning, we might not have had the injuries that we now have.
All right, so basically what you're saying is the way to get the delts.
Yes, you have to have heavier at the beginning of the range of motion, lighter at the end of the range of motion, and the the lateral abduction movement is the simplest, purest, best movement for this muscle.
And front delt kind of takes care of itself from all the chest work.
Yes and no. I mean, there's, that's the standard front raise with a barbell.
Right.
People think it's front deltoid.
It's actually, it hits me in the rear.
No, it doesn't.
It does me.
It might feel that way. It hits your traps.
Yeah, it hurts my traps.
Yes.
It hits my traps, yeah.
But here's what happens. When you raise your arm with the palm down, as you would be when you're holding a barbell, what does opposite position loading tell us? The side deltoid is on top. The front deltoid isn't. It's, from looking at it from here, it's at a 3 o'clock angle.
Oh, I see.
So you're getting more side deltoid from a front raise with a barbell.
Because your hand's twisted.
Because your hand is twisted. So now if you do this, your whole arm rotates around, and guess what happens to this? It rotates to the side, and the front deltoid comes up on top.
So if you did dumbbells like that, that's you.
If you did dumbbells like that, you're halfway to better.
Okay.
Halfway to better, which means now you have the right muscle positioned opposite resistance, but you still have the opposite of an ideal resistance curve. It's still too heavy at the end, and it's still too light at the beginning. Mm-hmm. You want it heavy at the beginning and light at the end. So how do you do that? You sit on a bench. This is the way I do it. It takes a little setup, but take a seated bench, put it in front of a pair of pulleys, and now you've got resistance pulling you this way. See, this arm is doing the same thing as it would be if it was straight. The deltoid doesn't know if the elbow is bent or not. If you do this, you're going to get front deltoid because you're traveling the path of these fibers. Yeah, the resistance coming from back there, the same height as my elbows.
Okay.
And you go straight forward. And say someone says, well, isn't that a chest exercise? Well, no, the reason is because this humerus bone is not traveling toward the origin of the pecs. It's traveling toward the origin of the clavicles, which is where the front deltoid is.
Gotcha.
If you do this, now you're traveling toward the origin of the pecs. But the elbows wide is chest, elbows in is front deltoids.
All right, what about rear delt?
Rear deltoid is a very interesting thing. The origin of the rear deltoid is up here on the clavicle. It comes down at a diagonal and connects to this deltoid tuberosity right here. That means that it is a diagonal muscle. There's no reason for you to go straight back. All you have to do is travel the same diagonal movement as that fiber. So you get a cable from over there and a cable from over there, and then you go downward with it.
Crossing over?
Crossing over. The resistance has to come from that side to get opposite position loading.
You don't have to go high with it.
You don't have to go any higher than your shoulders.
Okay.
Right, but the resistance has to come from the opposite. So if the deltoid is here, what's opposite this? Over there. What's opposite this? Over there.
Okay.
Right.
Makes sense.
If you go straight forward, you're not directly opposite yet.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to try this.
Yeah.
The only other thing I want to add to this before we go on to something else is that I think it's very necessary to have a nice set of traps.
Yeah.
And on top of those traps is a nice neck.
Yeah.
And I work my neck in the gym, and people say, what are you doing? Why are you working your neck? Your neck is a muscle. And I've had shows on this. Without a skinny neck looks ridiculous on a big person.
Yeah.
And as Freddie Blassie used to say, pencil neck geek. Come on, all wrestlers have thick necks. Thick necks is when you see somebody, the first thing you see is first their face. You see their teeth if they're nice and white, and you see a big neck.
Yeah,
and a big neck looks strong.
Right.
It's power. It shows power. From that, the traps and the delts. Right.
Yes, but let me tell you about neck training.
Yes.
First of all, there's not much capacity of growth in the neck.
Yes.
People who have big necks genetically. People who have skinny necks genetically. You can improve it a tiny bit.
Yeah.
My experience over 40 years of seeing this and trying it, it's very difficult to make a significant difference in the size of your neck. However, having said that, I'll tell you there's only one exercise that is relatively safe to do and is most likely to cause an improvement, and that is raising your neck to the front. raising it to the sides is very dangerous. There's not a lot of muscle there on the sides. The sternocleidomastoideus pretty much controls side movement and front movement.
Yeah.
If you try to go from the front to the rear, that's dangerous. So the only safe exercise really you can do for your neck that would make a difference, that's perfectly safe, is to just lie on the floor and then raise your chin to your chest.
Okay, I'm not going to agree with you.
I wouldn't go side to side because you could easily strain your neck.
Okay, I'm not going to agree with you 100%.
Okay.
Because
that's why we're here.
Because I'm Ric Drasin. I've always.
And you're a contrarian.
Contrarian. I've always worked my neck for wrestling. Wrestlers always did wrestling.
Right.
Bridge, but I can't do wrestler's bridge. It hurts the top of my head.
Oh yeah.
So what I will do
and
is.
By the way, you can get away with that when you're young.
Yeah, but I put a pad on the squat bar, and I'll put my head on the pad, and I'll do resistance against the pad, front to back, side to side, side to side, and then back to front. And if I don't have that, I'll have somebody like my girlfriend or somebody I train with. They'll give me, and I learned this from Seymour Koenig years ago, who was a wrestler and bodybuilder and friend of Joe Gold's, and he would always have me work his neck. And then on the bench to give me pressure all the way, all four sides.
Yeah. You can actually do it yourself too.
Oh, I do it myself now. But the point I'm trying to say is, when I would get done doing it, my neck looked like it pumped up at least an inch. And in many other days, it would stay bigger and bigger and bigger. When I would lose weight, my neck would come down. So I was able to put size in my neck by doing it.
Well, look, we encourage you to try and see what happens. My experience has been that it didn't change much. Your experience was that it did.
It did quite a bit.
And my experience has been that moving the neck to the front is far safer and less problematic.
I don't like to do the front because I don't like to say yes a lot.
Yeah. You like to say no.
No. But I still think it's important to have a nice thick neck. I think it looks impressive.
Well, I think that exercising this function of the neck at least is functionally good.
Well, everything's going to work a little bit.
Yeah, aside from the visual, it's also good to have, because you see a lot of people, they hunch over like this as they get older, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, just by doing the exercises that we're doing, we're already keeping some circulation and things going. But
I was told years ago that people hunch over because they're carrying all their money to the bank that they've accumulated over the years, and they're carrying it's very heavy.
We wish that were true.
We wish that were true.
At least it was a trade-off.
Right. Now, your book is available?
Now, the book is available. I have it here, but it's not in print form. This appears like it might be. I'm discussing it with a publisher right now called Healthy Learning. They're sending me a contract right now, so it probably will be in print by June, hopefully, of this year, 2017. But right now, the PDF version, the digital version, is available, $50. It's about 600 pages. It's very comprehensive. It goes through every body part, and it explains the physics involved, as I was just telling you about this opposite position loading.
Right.
Tells you the physics involved and why certain directions of resistance are better and why certain movements are better than other movements.
Perfect. I mean, people need to know this. If you're going to work your body, work it the proper way.
So if you want the book, just email me at dbfitness. DB, of course, is my initials. fitness@aol.com. And I will give you instructions on how to send me $50, PayPal, and then I'll send you the book.
Today, ebooks and Kindle are very popular. People like to download and read them, and they don't always buy the hard copies. It's nice to have them, but everything's an ebook nowadays. And I have a book out called The Time of My Life, which is from day one, from conception to the Mexican border. No, from conception till now. And it talks about my life in wrestling, bodybuilding, music, acting, stunts, and everything that I've mastered.
Graphic artist.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know where to go with this.
Television producer.
But it's all there. And the people that I met along my journey, and the Gold's Gym, and all the characters that were involved in it. And it's also available on Amazon. It's available on iTunes, Google, and Barnes & Noble. It's $9.95 download. So take a look at it, Time of My Life, and you'll enjoy what you read, because I wrote it in my own words, the way I speak here, and the things I lived, and some of the things I can't talk about on here.
Tell me about your drawing.
Oh, my drawing. I have a logo that I did for Gold's Gym, as you know, and I have that available on my website, too, for $75, autographed to you, 8x10.
Kind of looks like that, but it's not a gorilla.
This is the World Gym that I did. The Gold's Gym is a little bald-headed guy. I posted here. You can order it. You can buy it for a gift. You can buy it for yourself.
It's an original.
Original. I draw each one by hand.
Right.
Each one by hand. They're all different. I sign it, I date it, and I make it out to you for $75 plus $5 shipping. And you can get it off my website at ricdrasin.com. So, that being said, I want you guys to know that I always love having Doug on the show. We're going to do another show, and it's always a pleasure to have you as viewers. You guys are just awesome, and I appreciate all your nice comments. Every once in a while, you get a jerk on the show that has to say something nasty, and then all of you guys do a dog pile on them and support me.
Like, why did you have that guy on?
I don't see that. Your support and the way you attack these vultures is really nice. I was going to do it, but I've got my team out there. You're my team, and you do it for me. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time on Ric's Corner. Stay tuned.
It's rickdrasin.com. He is the equalizer, baby. See you next time.